Hello everyone and welcome to another video. For those of you who don't know, my name is Natalie and this is my partner Zach. And for those of you who do watch our videos and are familiar with us and you're wondering where our baby is, Tallow, he is currently with his grandma on a walk. So it's just us, and we thought that we would take this opportunity to talk to you guys about tiny home, about our bus, and we thought that we would talk to you about how it came to be and the pricing. Really the pricing is what we want to focus on talking about, and how we managed to buy and build and renovate our bus or our home quite cheap. So just for reference, everything that we say when we speak of how much things are, we're talking in Australian dollars because obviously we live in Australia. The reason why we thought that we would do one of these videos where we kind of sit down and talk to you about the overall build and costs of everything is because we've had a lot of questions, people coming to me on Instagram and on YouTube in the comments section asking just like pretty general questions about how much things cost, how much the bus cost, how much the build cost, and what was the overall cost, and then all that kind of stuff. I have a couple of questions about the bus that I've gotten from Instagram that we will answer, and we're just going to kind of also talk about the general gist of how we built our home. We like to refer to it as a tiny home opposed to a bus or a van because we really feel that that is what this is.
It's a much more like permanent setup than what you would have as a van. Yeah, and
it's much more luxurious, and we've set it up as a mini house, and so that's why we like to kind of lean towards that rather than a normal van deck out, because that's what it is to us. So we also thought it was important to mention that the title of this video, which is something like how we managed to build our tiny home under $7,000, that is not including the price of what we paid for the actual bus.
We paid $6,000 for the bus.
Yeah. 6,000 Australian dollars, and we were pretty lucky to get the bus for that price.
Buses in this condition, 10 grand is a pretty standard price.
Yeah.
For a bus like this, getting it for 6 was pretty good. Like, we know a lot of people who've picked them up for around 10, and I guess like theirs are a bit better quality and maybe a little bit newer than ours, but
so really just
like we were just working to a budget, and this is what we could afford, and it suited us perfectly. So
it's a 1990 Toyota Coaster. I thought that we would start by answering some of the questions that people have asked us, so I have them written down. The first question that someone asked, which is kind of related, is, was it difficult finding the right bus? And to be completely honest, it was pretty easy finding this bus for us, but that's not to say it might be a little bit more difficult for you guys, or if you're searching for something like this. We had been searching a few months for a van, and we couldn't find anything.
We were looking for like big vans, and I guess like with our budget, it was actually hard to find big vans that were cheap.
Yeah.
I think for some reason, even though this bus is so much bigger than a van, vans are kind of maybe more desirable, and for that reason a little bit more expensive.
Well, that's why our bus was so cheap, because the guy could not sell it. He'd been trying to sell it for ages. As soon as we made the decision to start looking for a bus and to buy a bus instead of a van, we found one within like a few days. And then we jumped on it, and we ended up flying to Sydney. So we live in Queensland, so we flew to Sydney to buy it, and then we drove it back up. So that was pretty easy decision for us. So the next question is, how long did it take us to renovate the bus? And this also will help you guys to understand, obviously, that because we did it over an extended period of time, that's how we paid for things. We kind of, sometimes we would wait for Zach's next paycheck to do certain parts of it, or we'd say like, okay, we know that we're going to have this much money saved at this point in time in a month or two, and so we'll do this then, or this part then, maybe something that was more expensive. Maybe we'll buy the fridge at this stage because so we kind of planned it out like that.
Like, we bought it in July last year, so that's pretty much 6 months ago. We always had in mind that it'd be finished by like Christmas time, but at the beginning it was very slow. So we literally, like, maybe in the first like 3 months, we took all the chairs out.
Like, we completely stripped the inside.
We stripped it all, we replaced the floor, and like that was kind of it. So it was pretty much a bare shell up until like maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And then, so in that time as well, I'd put in all the electrical stuff and the solar. So that took me a good part of probably a month, just because I was learning as I went. And then, like, everything you see, well, all the main things, like the ceiling, the kitchen, the bed, that went in within like 7 days.
Yeah.
So we had some help from friends of ours,
and
a lot of help,
like,
and they, you
just like smashed it out.
We just smashed it out in a week.
Yeah.
So that was really quick, and then we got back to Nat's mum's house, and we've been here now for like almost a month, and in that time I built the 2 overhead shelves, the couch, and
other
just
bits
like
and bobs,
bits and bobs, like, yeah.
And that's the other thing when you're renovating something like this, when you're doing anything like this, I'm sure, you'll give yourself a time frame. Like, you'll say, okay, the solar will take me X amount of time to do, or putting in the sink will take X amount of time to do, and then you'll get to it and you'll realise that you need to go to the hardware store like 3 more times because you've forgotten certain pieces of things, and like it just gets dragged out, or at least that's what happened for us, for Zach.
For people that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
And when I actually think about how quickly we got it done, like, we have a baby and Zach was working 4 to 5 days a week, so yeah, we did.
Well, like, we stuck, like, we always had in mind it was going to take us 6 months, and it took us 6 months.
Yeah.
For the first like 4 months, we didn't think we were going to get it done because nothing really had happened.
Yeah.
But then,
well, none of the visual stuff had happened.
Yeah.
But that you'd done a lot.
But then, like, in the last 2 months, like, look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
amazing now. Another question that we've got here is someone is asking us the most difficult thing that we overcame through the build. So we might have different things. Maybe you can go first because you actually built it.
The most difficult thing was like doing all the electrical stuff for me.
Yeah.
So it was,
I would agree to that.
wiring it up, like putting the solar panels on the roof was fine, but actually
Then it wasn't fine because it leaked.
that was the most learning that I did, because I had no idea how to do any of it. The most difficult thing was trying to stick the wires up the walls of the inside of the bus. So, like, yeah, you've got your main wire that comes down from the solar panels to the batteries, and then from the batteries you've got all the wires that come out to the lights and the oven and the fridge and everything like that. So running those wires up through the inside of the walls of the bus was quite challenging.
Yeah.
There's a lot of holes in the metal frame under the ceiling that you can't see.
Yeah, it was like so tricky and bitty, and
yeah,
he was getting pretty frustrated.
Yeah.
Guess I don't really have much to say about the hardest part of the build because I didn't really build it, but I think the hardest part for me was patience, because like Zach said, like the actual build of like when the visual progress started happening, that was quite late in the 6 months. So for the first 4 months, Zach would come back from being outside working on the bus, and I would have been with Tello inside, and he'd be like, "Oh, come and see," and I'd like walk into the bus and I'd be like, "What? Like what? Like what have you done?" And you'd get upset because I didn't notice like some like technical thing that you'd done, and I'm not being ungrateful. Like, I'm very grateful for all the work that you've done, but I'm just like being real and speaking to the reality of, you know, that. And yeah, for a few months I was just like, I was probably being a brat, and I was like, well, like, when can you like put the ceiling up, or can you put the floor in, or can you do this, can you do that? Because I just wanted to see the visual progress, and until that happened, you know, then it's like it happens boom really quick.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that was difficult for me to I'm not a very patient person. So. the only questions that we're going to answer about what people have asked us, because that's kind of more relating to the cost and the build. Another thing that we thought that we would do, so that for you guys who are maybe wanting to do something like this, you can get an idea, is we are going to go through some of the things that were the most expensive and some of the things that we were surprised at how little they cost. We'll start with the things that were most expensive out of everything that we bought for the bus, and one of those things is the fridge.
Yeah, so like it's kind of like you just get your priorities straight, really. Like,
yeah,
you just have to work out what's most important to you.
Yeah.
And for us, it was getting a decent sized fridge. Yeah, the fridge cost $1,300. Like so compared to like a household fridge, we bought our household fridge at the beginning of last year for like $600.
Yeah.
So getting a two-way camper fridge, they're just an expensive appliance. I don't know, like, and they're really hard to find secondhand as well. You can find heaps of three-way ones that run on gas, but we wanted to run ours from the solar panels, so we just splashed out and bought a really good one. But that was the most expensive thing we purchased in the whole build. Then we have the batteries, obviously, that power the system, the solar system, and together they were $700, so we have two of them, so they're $350 each. And that's an 120 amp hour battery, and they're deep cell AGM batteries, so they're pretty good quality. The third most expensive thing was the inverter. So that's what converts our 12 volt system to a 24 volt system where we can run our appliances like our Vitamix.
Yeah.
And
charge all our
we can charge
things.
all our phones and laptops, and
yeah.
we can, if we wanted to, we could plug a juicer in,
Yeah.
coffee machine if we wanted one, whatever, like all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that was, we paid $800 for our inverter. Yeah, they were the three biggest costings, I guess. There's obviously a lot of wood in here, a lot of timber, and all up it would have been quite expensive. I haven't added it all up. Really, we didn't get any of it secondhand apart from the bench top for the kitchen. So yeah, we paid all up probably quite a lot for the wood. The things that weren't so expensive that kind of surprised us was the ceiling. So the ceiling is a untreated pine tongue and groove. For the whole ceiling, it costs, I think, just over $200. And we've still got some left over.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll use it for whatever comes up down the track.
Our stove that we bought it off Gumtree or Marketplace.
Marketplace.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was $200, wasn't it? $100.
Yeah.
And it's like a grey, it must be from an old caravan, right?
Yeah.
So they've obviously taken it out and it works perfectly and it's like the perfect size. Some other things that weren't as expensive as what we thought and were on the lower side of things that we had to pay for the bus was the lights that you see, which we got off eBay, and then things like the tap and the sink, you know, and especially when you're doing it over a period of time, which, like, if you have a baby or not, you're not normally going to smash out buying a bus and then building a home in it or a van in like a week. Basically, the reason why we wanted to do this video is because we want to continue to show people that it's so easy to live like this. It's so easy to get this.
It's so attainable for like anyone.
Yeah. You don't have, like, we're not rich. You know, we don't have heaps of money, but we had a dream, and now our dream is our reality. And yeah, basically that's just what we want to get across. So we just want to help you guys with a few tips and tricks of how we managed to do it.
Also, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like doing it mostly yourself as well. Like at the beginning, like that was super overwhelming for me, and I just would have loved to go and get someone to build the whole thing. Putting the solar in, say, like, if we'd had someone put that in for us, it probably would have been an extra, like, maybe $2,000 or $3,000. So yeah, doing as much of it as you can yourself, and then like finding friends that can help you out as well, and asking for help. We had many hands helping build this bus, at different times. So if you've got a dream, then just like follow it and believe in it, and
it's gonna
it's
happen.
gonna work. You know, you put your mind to something, and yeah,
you get it done. So I think that that's everything that we wanted to address. So we really hope that this has been helpful for you guys. If you have been wanting to watch a video like this, we really hope that maybe it's given you a little bit of insight into building your own tiny home.
If you have any questions, like
Zach's keen to help.
no, like comment down below and we'd love to answer them, I think, because like we've been given so much help, and we'd love to pass on as much as we can that we've learned. You know?
And I think that like it's really nice to do that now, you know, after a 6-month period, when someone comes up to you or in your group of friends or whoever and they're going on about something that 6 months ago you would have looked at them and been like, what are you talking about? And you're like, oh yeah, actually you just do this and that. Well, like that's not what I do, but that's happened to you a few times. And so that's a really nice feeling to be able to give back to the community that you're now a part of. Anyway, I think we'll leave this video here. So thank you guys so much for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed, don't forget to do that. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps support our family's channel, and we will see you in the next video. One more time. Oh no, just like walk up to him. Right?